I got kidnapped by my arch nemesis. He thought I was blind. He squatted in front of me, mimicking my fiancé's voice. Nancy, want to fix your eyesight before the wedding? His pretty light brown eyes stared straight at me. I suddenly got close, accidentally brushing my lips against his nose. His whole body tensed, his gaze trembled like his soul was shivering. That's when I realized William didn't hate me. He actually really liked me. I only discovered I was a side character in a novel after I died. My first love, Luke, was the main character, and his sister, Lucy, was the leading lady. Luke married me just because of my family background. The one he truly loved was his adopted sister. On the eve of our wedding, Lucy climbed to the rooftop and called him. Luke rushed to her side, leaving me alone. I followed, but since my eyes hadn't fully healed from surgery, I fell down the stairs and died. Luke, as my husband, inherited everything, stepping over my grave to become a Wall Street hotshot. In the end, he married Lucy. My soul floated above, watching them return to my former home on their wedding night. It was sickening to witness. That seemed to be the happy ending of the novel. But then, in the dark, I saw a figure moving slowly toward their new room. An explosion went off, flames and smoke quickly engulfing everything. Luke and Lucy, disheveled, rushed out. The figure heard the noise, then grabbed Luke, locking his throat with a vice-like grip. "Who are you? Are you crazy?" Luke rasped, in terror. The intruder said nothing, his cold expression like a cat toying with a dying mouse. But his eyes were unfocused. I realized he was blind too. William. I called his name as my soul gradually faded away. When I opened my eyes again, I was sitting in the back of a car with Luke. Everything felt a bit unreal. Luke suddenly asked, "Lucy wants some pastries from the old shop in East Town. Do you want any?" This was the day of the car accident with Luke, wasn't it? In a flash, a runaway truck surged into the intersection. Just as before, Luke shielded me, and I lost consciousness. I woke up in the hospital, the sharp smell of disinfectant in the air. My eyes were scorched by the spark from the collision. This time, I instinctively protected my eyes. They were hurt but not blinded like in my previous life. Even after unwrapping the bandages, I could only vaguely see blurred outlines. Luke hurt his leg. He stayed next to me to take care of me from the adjacent hospital bed. Through blurry vision, I saw Lucy in her plain white dress, rushing into his arms. She sobbed, "Are you okay? You scared me to death." Luke let her rest on his chest, gently caressing her head. "Don't worry, I'm fine." Before, when I couldn't see, why didn't I notice how disgusting this was? Lucy suddenly straightened, seeming to remember I was there, and slowly turned to me. My gaze void, I asked softly, "Is Lucy here?" "Your eyes?" she inquired. I responded calmly, "I can't seem to see." Lucy sighed in relief. Luke looked at her, as if he smiled. I was quickly discharged from the hospital. Doctors said my eye surgery was successful, and my vision would gradually return in a couple of weeks. They said the same thing in my last life, but my eyes never recovered. I was eventually diagnosed blind at a follow-up. Luke guided me as we got out of the car. Lucy caught up, handing him some medication she had. She reminded him, "You need to put eye drops in her eyes 3 times a day." Though my sights were blurry, I sensed something off in her demeanor. In the following days, the two of them treated me like a blind person, blatantly flirting right in front of me. Turns out Luke's restrained politeness towards his sister was just an act. In my past life, they deceived me for so long. I didn't realize the unusual undertone of their relationship until just before I died. While descending the stairs, my hand grazing the banister, I saw Luke leaning down to kiss Lucy in the living room. Seeing me approach, they froze. Through blurry vision, I saw Lucy lightly hit him, giggling. How much filth do we have to witness in a lifetime? Luke came over to guide me. "Nancy, still can't see anything?" he asked softly. I shook my head, remaining silent. If possible, I never want to have anything to do with people like him. The follow-up doctor was now on my side. They said my eyes were healing well, and in 2 days my vision will be fully restored. Lucy had tampered with the eye drops. She wasn't heavy-handed, my bad luck was the real issue before leading to blindness. But how bad could the heroine be after all? Lucy's motive for tampering was simple. She just wanted some intimate time with Luke. Reflecting on my last life, when diagnosed blind, Luke distanced himself from her for a while. Probably because of that. Funny, after all those years with Luke, he did care for me in some way. After I died, sometimes when drunk, he'd call my name. I had become his first love in his mind, constantly a wedge between him and Lucy. Honestly, it's gloomy. The final diagnosis result was the same, blindness. The only way to regain vision was a corneal transplant, which meant waiting for a donor. Lucy held the diagnosis, her fingers trembling uncontrollably. Luke noticed her unease, and his gaze toward her grew colder. He gripped my hand tighter, saying, "Nancy, no matter what happens, I'll marry and protect you." Hearing those words in my past life moved me to tears. Now, I noticed Lucy's silent tears falling, unable to make a sound. I asked him flatly, would you give me your corneas? Luke hesitated. Living people can't donate corneas. William said the same thing. He joked with, kiss me, and I'll die for you. At that time, he seemed like a madman. Judging by the timeline, I should be seeing that crazy guy pretty soon. 2 days later, when I went to the hospital for a follow-up, William showed up. He walked over and gently held my arm. His grip was firm and strong yet cautious when he touched me. I softly asked him, like in a past life, Luke? William coldly replied. I smiled a bit. I knew he wasn't. William and I were high school classmates. As far as I remember, he barely talked to me. There was a time he didn't come to school because, as I heard, his mother had a severe lung disease. My uncle happened to be a top expert in that field, so I reached out to have my uncle help with her exam and surgery. Back then, Luke, who had lost both parents, started being groomed by my dad as an heir. Luke warned me, Nancy, there's something you need to know. William's father's death might be related to your uncle, so it's best if you keep your distance. He could be using you for revenge. When I looked up, I saw William standing nearby, holding a box of chocolates, his lips curled in a mocking smile. Figured me out already? He turned and tossed the chocolates into a trash can. I remember, after I got together with Luke, William always gave me a hard time. He took over his family's company and started making things difficult for Luke. William seemed like the villain in a novel. Thinking about it made me chuckle. William glanced over. What's so funny? I said, I'm happy you're here to pick me up. He smirked, gazing outside at the passing scenery. That's all it takes to make you happy? His voice was so cold it was hard to discern any emotion, and his eyes slowly dimmed. The car drove through dense woods and stopped in front of a villa. This wasn't my home. William held my hand and got me out of the car. In my past life, I had already realized something was off at this point. When Luke held my hand, he wasn't so nervous it sweated, nor did he walk so cautiously. This was William trying hard to imitate Luke, trying to be gentle and caring towards me. The villa's layout was identical to my home, and everything was arranged to accommodate my blindness. No wonder it took me days to realize something was wrong. Back then, I couldn't fathom why William kept me here. He didn't hurt me, didn't use me to threaten my dad. He just stayed quietly with me. When he was about to take me back, the hospital called. They found a matching cornea for me. William helped me sit on the couch. He looked at me very seriously. I noticed medicine for eye treatment on the corner of the coffee table. In my mind, I saw William's unfocused eyes from the fire. It seemed like he was on the verge of blindness now. He suddenly asked, are you getting married? Realizing the oddity of his question, he retorted, it's only 4 months until our wedding. Though he tried mimicking Luke's tone, if you listened closely, you could tell the difference. William's voice was cooler, deeper. I dropped my gaze, not saying a word. Some messy hair fell to the side of my face. He seemed like he wanted to help tidy my hair but put his hand down halfway. He wanted to touch, but seemed afraid to. His voice was a bit hoarse. Nancy, do you want to fix your eyes before the wedding? He looked at me, emotion swirling in his light brown eyes. I tilted my head slightly, letting my gaze drift into space. His eyes were beautiful, kissed by the evening sun filtering through the glass window. The light danced in his pale irises, like fragile crystal. I unconsciously leaned a bit closer. Forgetting how close we already were, I ended up brushing my lips against his nose. Just a brief touch. William's body tensed up entirely, his Adam's apple bobbing. The light in his eyes started to tremble. Then I saw a hint of redness on his face. My heart skipped out of rhythm too. Knowing he was mad and obsessive, I felt oddly moved, maybe unsure, but I wanted certainty. Do you want to kiss? I asked. Desire filled William's eyes, though his voice was controlled. Nancy, do you know what you're saying? I moved closer, but he gently pushed me back a little. He seemed to sense something was off with me. Nancy, can you really see nothing? I gave a stunned shake of my head. In the next second, he loosened his tie. The tie softly covered my eyes, blocking all light, heightening my senses. William pressed his forehead against mine. A hot, restrained, cautious kiss fell. He tried to kiss me gently, like Luke. Although he knew I couldn't see, William still covered my eyes. Like the kiss was stolen. The way he was so careful made my heart ache. I lifted my hand, grabbing his shirt collar, deepening the kiss. In a moment, William's rationality broke. His lips buzzed until I couldn't breathe. Only then did he let go. William lied about the maid being on vacation. The villa had nobody else. So he cooked everything. The dishes looked decent but tasted terrible. I took a sip of the soup he passed, frowning. I think you mixed up the sugar and salt. William tasted it and started clearing the table. Don't eat that, I'll order takeout. I pressed lightly on his hand. That's when I noticed the blisters on the back of his hand from cooking burns. No need to clean up, I'm not that picky, I can eat this. I picked up my bowl. William had pre-served some dishes for me. Once a young master who never cooked. After his father's death, his uncle took over the family assets. He had to balance school and taking care of his ill mother. Life plunged from paradise to hell. I couldn't imagine how much he suffered to win everything back. My dad choosing to work with his uncle indirectly led to his father's death. Yet, why didn't he hate me? My eyes started to well up, vision blurring. William noticed. Why are you crying? I put some food between my chopsticks and mumbled. Your food is really bad. Then don't eat it. No, you worked so hard. You should eat some too. William chuckled, joining me in eating. He seemed to have lost his sense of taste, eating anything flawlessly. I casually asked, you mix up salt and sugar? Do you have eye problems, too? William's smile vanished immediately. No. I could tell he was lying. When he lifted his eyes to look at me, I quickly looked away. His gaze lingered on me for a moment, and with a half-amused tone, he asked, Nancy, can you see? I got a little flustered. No, I can't. William's intuition is always sharp. Naturally, he didn't believe what I said. It wasn't until he carried me upstairs and saw how I obediently lay in his arms that he relaxed a bit. He leaned against the bathroom doorframe, watching me finish washing up, then carried me to bed. William kissed my forehead lightly. Sleep. As he got up, I grabbed his shirt sleeve and softly asked, aren't you going to sleep with me? His body instantly froze. You? Didn't we? Before the wedding, Luke and I never shared a bed. I thought he respected me back then. Now I realize there was probably another reason. William seemed to know about this too. His palm settled on the back of my hand, warm to the touch. He pushed my hand away, his voice hoarse with irritation. Nancy, don't talk to me like that again. William's calloused fingertips gently brushed my cheek, fixing my stray hair. Get some sleep. A click, and the room went dark. William, I propped myself up and called his name. His hand on the door handle paused, and he looked at me through the silent night. I'm afraid of the dark, I said softly. In a past life, when I discovered William, I was terrified. I curled up in a corner, yelling at him not to touch me. I called him a freak, disgusting. He didn't move, probably just standing there watching me. Then, in a hoarse voice, he repeatedly said he was sorry. He said, I'm sorry, Nancy, I won't hurt you. I just wanted to see you. William stood at the door, his gaze slightly downcast. When he looked at me again, his expression was cold and distant. He had a faint, mocking smile on his lips. Nancy, why are you pretending to be blind? Partly to see Luke clearly, partly to see him. I couldn't just say that outright. I took a deep breath, trying to sound angry. William, why did you kidnap me? I want that piece of land in the south. In the past life, when he let me go, Luke ended up with that land in the south. I knew if it came to a fight, Luke wouldn't stand a chance against him now. He was lying to me. I got out of bed, took 2 steps toward him, and stopped. A sliver of moonlight filtered through the curtains, softening his harsh outline. His face was half-bathed in darkness, his light brown eyes cold and distant. I looked up at him. If you want that land, go ahead and take it. A flicker of surprise crossed his eyes, followed by a cold laugh. All right, until I get it, you'll stay right here. Okay, I agreed meekly, but I need an eye checkup tomorrow. Can you arrange that for me? He nodded. I'll have a doctor for you tomorrow. I smiled at him. William, good night. He paused, his expression cold as he warned me, don't smile at me. I'm the bad guy. Bad guy? Bad guys don't leave nightlights on. Early the next morning, the doctor William arranged came. The doctor carefully examined my eyes and told him, her eyes are doing well. No need for a corneal transplant. William squinted at me, trying to figure out what I was thinking. When the doctor packed up, he muttered to him in a low voice, William, you should get checked too. He refused coldly, no need. I propped my chin and watched him. If you get your eyes checked, I'll tell you why I'm pretending to be blind. William agreed and allowed the doctor to check his eyes in the study. I was locked outside, so I didn't know the results. But judging by the doctor's serious expression, it probably wasn't good. William leaned on the other side of the sofa, speaking coolly. Well, what do you want? I shifted closer to him. William raised an eyebrow, surprised. In his memory, I always saw him as a villain and stayed far away. William, have you ever read a novel? It was only after dying once that I realized I'm just a character in a story, and Luke only approached me to step up. When I died in the last life and saw you go blind, avenging Luke was when I realized I misjudged you all those years. You mean, after you died, you saw me blind and killing someone? He raised an eyebrow, laughing. We sure are something, huh? It was only after saying it out loud that I realized how crazy it sounded. William's lips curled into a mocking smile. You're sure someone like Luke, who needs to use women to get ahead, is the main character, and I'm just a side character? Of course, he didn't believe the story stuff. He just looked down on Luke. I hesitated for a moment, looking into his eyes. Before, when I chose Luke, I was blind. But I'm not blind now. Dropping my gaze, I felt my ears heat up. When I kissed you that day, I felt something. William's smile froze, and his eyes scrutinized my expression carefully. Clearly, he didn't believe a word. I sighed softly. Luke's in love with his sister. I don't want to marry him. I want to get back at him. William's stern expression softened a little. Now he believed me. You want to use me to get back at him? What's in it for me? I smiled faintly. How about you be with me? Nancy, we should be enemies. His eyes lingered on my slightly upturned lips, and his throat bobbed. Finally, he couldn't put on the act anymore and leaned in, kissing me hard. This was the second time William and I kissed. He quit pretending to be gentle. He wasn't gentle at all. His presence overpowered my senses, slowly stealing all my breath away. Finally, he rested his chin on my shoulder, warm breath against my neck, slightly panting. You said you wanted to be with me. Nancy, you can use me, but don't hate or despise me. His kiss was too intense. I felt dizzy. It took a while to regain my senses. William. He propped himself up beside me, watching me. Nancy, do you regret it? The light in his light brown eyes dimmed for a moment, and they turned slightly red. His strong brow stood out, but below, those eyes seemed close to breaking. But clearly, I'm the one being wronged. I shook my head, gently running my hand over his brow, softening my voice. I know you're helping me find a cornea. You don't want me to go blind. So, I don't want you to be blind either. Can you please go to the hospital? William looked down at me. His long lashes cast shadows on his eyelids, and I couldn't read his emotion. It took a while before he finally said, okay. 2 days later, I went with William to the hospital. During his struggle for power with his uncle, he barely slept. That's when his eye condition started. It was worse than I imagined. The doctor recommended surgery soon, or he'd risk blindness. In his last life, he didn't have the surgery. I sat in the back of the Rolls-Royce with him, turning to look at him. Why didn't you want the surgery before? He replied coldly. I never said I didn't want it. I pursed my lips. You'd better mean it. William turned to look at me. Seeming a bit unclear, he moved closer. His intense presence filled the space between us. He cupped my face, softly rubbing my earlobe with his calloused fingertips. You said you wouldn't marry Luke. I nodded. A smile spread on his lips. Then I'll have the surgery. But Nancy, can you tell me what you really want from me? Why are you so kind to me? You used to be like this, and you still are. I was stunned, shaking my head. He covered my eyes with one hand and wrapped the other around my waist. The partition between the seats slowly rose. He leaned in, gently biting my lip, his voice deep and pleading. Stop caring for me, and don't be so good to me. I'll get addicted. The Rolls-Royce slowly came to a stop. William adjusted my collar to cover the mark on my collarbone. He gave a mischievous grin. Sorry about that. Then, he tied my hands behind my back and placed a blindfold over my eyes. As Lucy walked out of the villa, William pushed me out of the car. She gasped and ran towards me. The blindfold was yanked off. Your eyes? I looked at her, speaking coldly. I can see. Are you disappointed? Luke quickly arrived from the company. He kneeled in front of me, full of concern. Nancy, where have you been these past days? I looked at the silk ribbon William used to bind my wrists, frowning slightly. I was kidnapped, isn't it obvious? Luke eyed my eyes. Kidnapped? Nancy, you can see now? I curled my lips slightly. Yeah, I was kidnapped, and now I can see. Luke, will you still marry me? My collar slipped slightly, revealing the conspicuous mark on my collarbone. Luke painfully shut his eyes, and when he reopened them, they were full of emotion. Yes, Nancy, I promise no matter what, I'd marry you. I couldn't help but laugh. Luke, looks like you don't really like me, huh? Back when your sister was forcibly kissed at school, you went nuts. Lucy inhaled sharply. You? My voice turned cold. I'm not blind. I saw all the dirty things you two did. If you don't want the scene to get ugly, just call off the engagement yourself. My dad heard the news and rushed over. Luke knelt before him, admitting to what he and Lucy did. My dad slapped him and took him to the study. I didn't know what they discussed, but I sensed this wasn't ending simply. The phone rang, showing an unknown number. I answered, and William's voice came through. Resolving things with Luke might not be that easy. Your dad raised Luke like his own son. He paused. He seems more important than you. I turned, staring at the study door, speaking in surprise. Why? I'm his real daughter. I'll check, William chuckled. If you really don't want to marry him, I can always kidnap you again. The study door opened. My dad looked at me, speaking with authority. I discussed it with Luke. He'll send his sister to study abroad. She won't appear before you again. Since your vision is fine, marry him soon. We need an heir. My dad didn't seem to care that I was betrayed or kidnapped. He only cared about the heir. I stepped back, tears falling. Why? Why would you give our family's business to an outsider? How am I any less competent? My dad raised his voice. What business can a girl inherit? Then he calmed down, approaching to comfort me. Nancy, I know it seems tough. Luke's a good kid. He'll treat you well. Don't you like him? My voice choked. I don't like him. I don't want to marry him. Finally, he lost patience, yelling at me. You need to think about the family's future. Now isn't the time to be willful. Growing up, whenever I made mistakes, Dad would confine me to my room to reflect. I never thought refusing to marry Luke would be considered wrong. Luke stood at the door with that same fake expression. Nancy, don't worry. I'll persuade Uncle. I've already reported the kidnapping. The person responsible won't get away. I wasn't kidnapped, I chuckled. He just thinks it's more thrilling to play with me this way. In a flash, the fake gentle mask on Luke's face started to crack. I usually ignored him, but this time I slammed the door in his face. I exhaled softly, a wave of satisfaction washing over me. Suddenly, I heard a soft chuckle from behind. Exciting? I froze and slowly turned around. And there it was, William's face, half smirking. The night breeze played with the sheer curtains behind him, and the moonlight spilled everywhere. Outside, Luke snapped back and started declaring his love for me with heartfelt words. Nancy, you're lying to me, right? I know you're mad at me, and I won't see Lucy anymore. I promised Uncle I'd treat you well forever. He went on, lost in reminiscing. I watched the vein throb on William's temple, feeling a kind of suicidal urge. William pinned me against the door. He was tall, looking down on me like he owned the place. He leaned in, his voice low by my ear. Nancy, I can't hold back anymore. Right now, I want to kill this jerk. His hand hovered over the knob, ready to give the door a slight push. I looped my arms around his neck, looking up at him, shaking my head slightly. Don't look at me like that. It's not gonna work. His voice steady, but his words betrayed by a slight tremble. I stood on my toes and barely reached his chin. His stubble felt rough against my lips, tickling. I softly whispered, "Come down a bit, will you?" It hit me then that my voice sounded like a plea. Before I could finish my sentence, William lowered his head and kissed me. His hand moved from the doorknob to wrap around my waist, snugly. I felt his palms heat through my clothes. Kissed so thoroughly, my knees nearly buckled. Under his gaze, which had completely shut out Luke's annoying monologue outside, his world was just me. Grabbing my wrist, he placed my hand over his heart. It beat hard beneath my touch. I heard him say, "Don't tease me like this again. My heart can't handle it." William sat right on my bedroom's carpet, finally remembering to explain. "Called you, no answer. Thought something happened, so I came to check." "Oh, my phone's with my dad." Realization hit me. I glanced at him. "So you came to see me by climbing through the window?" He snorted. "What, you think your dad would let me in through the door?" I muttered. "Your eyes aren't great. My room's on the 3rd floor." William looked at me through the cozy, warm glow. He raised a hand, threading his fingers through my hair, pressing my head to his chest, giving it a gentle rub. "Relax, I'm not ready to kick the bucket just yet." Taking a deep breath, he finally spoke. "I've uncovered your dad and Luke's tangled mess. Luke's your dad's first love, son. Your dad married your mom for money but could never let go of that first love. So he raised Luke as a son. That's why he'd force you to marry into that. In essence, those two are the same, guys who rely on women to climb up." His voice stopped abruptly. "All right, I won't speak ill of your dad in front of you anymore." His thumb brushed lightly across my eye's corner, feeling wet. I realized with a start that I was crying. "No, it's just, I thought of Mom. Towards the end, Mom was always gloomy, saying she'd been tricked." William was right. Dad and Luke were cut from the same cloth. Guys like them, they should just rot in hell. "You've always wanted to deal with Nancy's family, right?" I looked up at him. "You can do it now." Before, William's moves against Luke were little more than pinches. For me, he'd never gone full force against Nancy's family. He pinched my chin, smirking. "You look at me so sadly. How could I?" For a while, I teamed up with William. Despite the tension with Luke, I still attended a business banquet with him. In the hotel's ballroom, William looks at me through the crowd. Though his vision had gotten blurry, he could still lock eyes with me instantly. His expression was cold, just like before, as if I was a stranger. My heart twisted, a pang of unexplained sorrow. Luke appeared beside me, wine in hand. He gave a mocking toast in William's direction. Thanks to William's trust in my fiancé, I managed to snag that plot on the south side smoothly. Lately, William was gunning directly for Luke. Yet, somehow, Luke had secured the south plot. William never really believed I'd be on his side. This whole deal was sure to make him get the wrong idea. William said nothing, just curled his lips and walked away. I instinctively went after him but was grabbed by Luke. The pretense of soft affection was gone, eyes dark and furious, looking betrayed. Nancy, I knew something was up when you suddenly wanted to end our engagement. Luckily, the guys I sent checked, and you hooked up with William. Pity, after this, he won't trust you again. Luke figured planting some business spies could drive a wedge between William and me. I shook his grip, grinning. You don't know him. I dashed after William but couldn't spot him anymore. Luke followed, stepping out of the ballroom. His eyes on me icy, he spoke slowly. You won't see him again. Tonight, he's done for. William's eyes were bad. He just went off with some girl who looked like you. You betray him like this? He must like you a lot to be so obedient. Like me? I blurted, Lucy. The thought struck me, Lucy and I had a certain angle resemblance. You liked her, didn't you? How could you risk her like that? I'm making sure Lucy stays safe. Williams pushed me to the edge. I have to get rid of him this time. After taking the land in the south of the city, my dad gave him a lot of authority. Now Luke doesn't even bother to fake sincerity in front of me. With a smug look, he sneers, Nancy, after tonight, you'll lose everything you rely on. If it weren't for you being a bit like Lucy, I wouldn't have played this role in front of you for so long. There's a line from the original book, what the brother wants, the sister will do everything to help him get. Their relationship is just disgusting. I look at him coldly. Been so busy dealing with you, I almost forgot about your sweet little sister. Luke takes a call and, after hanging up, looks at me with a sinister expression. Want to go upstairs for a show? Williams in a suite on the 89th floor. You go now, might catch a last glimpse of him. Panic grips me, and I rush out of the elevator. Suddenly, a hand grabs my wrist, and I lose my balance. An arm wraps around my waist. The familiar scent calms my racing heart. A deep voice whispers in my ear, Nancy, worried about me? I hide around the corner, peeking from the edge. I see Lucy being pushed out of a room, naked, looking dazed. Luke throws his jacket over her, yelling at everyone to turn away. William gently turns my chin towards him. Don't look, it's disgusting. I'm a bit confused. Why are you here? And the person in the room? He shrugs casually. That's my bodyguard. I gave her the drink she tried to hand me, but I left her there after she started stripping. His light brown eyes sparkle. You know my eyesight's not the best. I didn't see anything. In the warm hallway light, his eyes look as clear as glass. He looks so obedient right now. I chuckle, ruffling the hair on his forehead. How did you know it wasn't one of mine with that bad eyesight? In another life, after my death, Luke would drunkenly call Lucy by my name. William gazes at me steadily. I just knew it wasn't you. His voice is low and soft. I'm caught in the moment, lightly brushing his hair over and over. He can't hold back and starts laughing. Nancy, you petting a dog there? Embarrassed, I snap out of it, pulling back and glancing at the chaos beside us. Let's get out of here. William suddenly gets a bit wild. Leaning in, he nips my earlobe. Treating me like a dog is fine, too. Luke worked tooth and nail to grab that land and prove himself to my dad. Used dirty tricks, and it cost a whole lot more than it seemed. William pulls me into his office, breaking down how to outsmart Luke and seize power from him. I look him in the eyes and interrupt. You should have had your surgery 2 days ago. Why haven't you? Startled, William stares. That's what you're worried about now? I nod. Why else would I go out of my way to see you now? Handling Luke isn't as important as you. I take a deep breath and say, I've got ways to deal with him. Okay, please do the surgery. His eyes show a flicker of emotion. I can't stop worrying about you. You don't trust me? How could I not? I believe anything you say, he rasps. I smile. Our world is inside a novel. I believe I've died once and come back. And I like you. William is stunned, just staring. You believe all that, but can't believe I like you? He smiles, a bit of vulnerability flickering in his light brown eyes. Nancy, I want to believe you. I tried to hate you, and no matter what, I couldn't. We should be enemies, William and I. Yet he fell for me, loves me more than I ever imagined. He kidnapped me to memorize my face before going blind. He won't do the surgery because he doesn't want to see me marry Luke. After turning 18, he seized power and regained everything, but never me. He wraps an arm around my waist, pulling me into his lap, his warm breath brushing my ear. Nancy, whatever you aim to do, I'll be right here with you. Knowing I love you is enough. Don't say you love me. I'm scared it's not true. If it were, it'd kill me. I hug his neck tight, murmuring, idiot, you believe everything except that I love you. I undo his tie, unbuttoning his shirt. If you believe nothing I say, how will you believe I love you? The moonlight outside filters in, casting a glow into his light-colored eyes. He looks at me for a moment and smiles. Nancy, if you want my life, just say so. Then he pulls me into a fiery kiss. He's held back a long time, and he just couldn't any longer. He entwines our fingers, gripping tight. Pressing against him, the palms burning and trembling slightly. I hear fireworks going off in my head. I hear William's soul telling me he loves me. In the early hours, I lay spent across William's legs. He's gently drying my hair, long fingers and warm air soothing me. I fight off sleepiness to chat. You still want to see me, right? Yeah. William massages my neck, cutting me off. Then wrap things up with Luke quickly. You're the one who got reborn and all, you're capable, right? Once you handle him, I'll have the surgery, and then we can get married. Suddenly, I'm wide awake. Married? William arches a brow. You're not gonna take responsibility for me? It's not that. I mumble awkwardly, my dad though. William gives me a tender kiss on the forehead. Don't worry, leave that to me. I called the cops before Lucy went abroad to study. She had drugged my eye drops before, which counts as intentional harm. She won't be able to start her new life now. Luke kicked open my office door. Nancy, what are you trying to do? Lucy is set to leave. She won't bother us. Why can't you let her go? His shameless words shattered my worldview. I coldly retorted, you should know the drug she gave me could make me blind. You have no right to forgive her on my behalf. Also, there's nothing between you and me except breaking off the engagement. I don't want to waste another word on you. Luke clenched his fists, his face turning blue in anger. In your dreams, you don't let Lucy go, I won't let you go either. I chuckled lightly and asked him, if I let her go, would you be willing to call off the marriage? Luke hesitated. I could tell he wasn't willing. He didn't want to give up the wealth and power he gained to save his beloved sister. I was blind in my past life for liking such an unreliable jerk. I told him, get lost. People like Luke are used to taking shortcuts. He could use me to get the family's fortune and use Lucy to take down William. Last time, after he embezzled company funds to get that plot in the South, he used the same tactics to snatch 2 projects from William. My dad said seeing his ruthless tactics was like seeing himself in the old days, treating Luke like a son. Too bad, Luke never considered him as a father. After I died in my past life, Luke inherited my estate and slowly took over the entire company. My dad was so angry he had a stroke and was sent to a nursing home. You can't convince someone who refuses to see the truth. My dad still opposed my breaking off the engagement with Luke and insisted on pushing me into the fire pit. I knew the money didn't come cleanly. It's time to return it. In my past life, the 2 projects Luke wrested from William were his starting point for expanding his business empire. But now he was too weak. I used a little strategy and his cash flow quickly broke. The project couldn't continue and had to be sold back to William at a low price. The company was on the brink of bankruptcy, chaos everywhere. I returned to my rented apartment. I had just stepped in and hadn't turned on the light when William pinned me against the door. He's still recovering from surgery with his eyes under bandages. He couldn't see, seemingly hitting his waist on the shoe cabinet and groaned softly in pain. I was shocked. Aren't you supposed to be in the hospital? How did you get here? He brushed his knuckles lightly across my chin, saying, when your family has such a major event, I had to sneak out to check. It was true that my dad was in the wrong back then. These 2 projects handed to you are compensation. William picked me up and sat me on the shoe cabinet, his arms on either side of me, trapping me in the small space. He leaned close to my ear with a low laugh, asking, is all this today just compensation? What else is it? I thought it was your dowry. Suddenly, there was a knock on my door, and Luke's voice came from outside. Nancy, if you don't help me this time, I'm done for. William just wants to use you against the family. Don't trust him. I'm the only one who truly loves you. Hearing his voice, William turned his head slightly. The tension in the air dropped instantly. William slowly straightened up. Seems like I need to beat him up this time. The next second, he swung the door open and kicked Luke to the ground. The neighbors called the police, and we got taken to the station. My dad called the cops around the same time, and Luke was arrested for embezzling public funds. A cop glanced at the bruised and battered Luke and asked William, are all these injuries on his face done by you? He pointed to the bandages on his own face, feigning innocence. I couldn't see at the time, got scared, and threw a few random punches. Soon, William was released for acting in self-defense. With the company nearing bankruptcy, the money losses couldn't be covered. My dad was anxious every day. He eventually turned to me. I, his own daughter, have never been more important than his company. That's when William showed up. He wore sunglasses, placing one hand on my shoulder, staring coldly at my dad. I'm taking your daughter with me. The money will be transferred to your company account later. By this time, I wasn't as furious as before. I wouldn't return to this home anyway. I managed a bitter smile and said to William, let's go. William put his arm around my shoulder, sounding vicious. From now on, you're part of my family. Try reaching out to your dad again. As I turned, a tear slipped from my eye, landing on his hand. William panicked, grabbing my hand, trembling. Weren't we just acting? Are you really crying? He quietly called my name, Nancy. I can't see clearly. Don't walk so fast. I bit my lip. I'm not crying. It's raining. William took the umbrella handed by the bodyguard and gently sheltered me as I got in the car. From the car, he pulled out a card and a chocolate bar, handing them to me. The money your dad and Luke lost are all in here. It was yours to begin with. If he won't let you inherit the company, you can start your own business and do whatever you want. I was taken aback. You? William smiled. What's mine is yours. The rain poured harder, and by the time we got home, his clothes were half soaked. He shrugged off his coat, dragging me into the bathroom. Water splashed everywhere, with his wet shirt outlining his toned body beautifully. He had already tossed away his sunglasses. William's beautiful light brown eyes looked at me through the mist. Can you see clearly now? He lowered his head and kissed me. I needed to see you. William held me and gently laid me on the bed. I yawned and drowsily asked, when did you start liking me? William kissed my brow and said, from the first moment. That day I accidentally hit your head with a basketball, and your eyes went red. I gave you a piece of chocolate, and you weren't mad at me anymore. I gently nuzzled against him. William, it would have been nice if we weren't enemies back then. He hugged me tighter. It would have been nice if you didn't avoid me back then. That night, William had a dream. He dreamt of the first time he saw Nancy and accidentally made her cry. Sunlight broke through the tree canopy, illuminating her teary eyes. Even when she cried, she was beautiful. But William's heart felt like something was tearing it apart. It hurt. If only she wasn't crying because of him. He fished out a slightly melted chocolate from his pocket and handed it to her. Her eyes sparkled as she smiled at him. William had never seen someone so easily moved to tears and so easy to cheer up. His heart no longer ached. The sunlight was bright and the early autumn wind was gentle. Looking into her eyes, his heart pounded loudly. At that moment, Nancy became his obsession, forever unforgettable.